What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Damn, this sun is bright as fuck. Hold on. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today is the day. Today we are doing the full modless video for the Z. On the way right now to AutoZone, I do need two 8mm bolts for one of my side support rods for the splitter. Gonna get that fixed, and then we are gonna go to the OG spot to go ahead and do the video. This guy needs to get the... Alright, so on the way back home, we did find the bolts. They're not the exact ones. I ended up getting a 12mm instead of an 8mm, but it's fine because I think it should be able to clear it. Alright, so ended up fixing it. Fucked my hands up. I don't know if you can see that shit, but yeah, fucking fender liner fucked my hand up. This wasn't the faulty one, but this is the passenger side that does not have a fender liner. Tying it up on this side, you kind of just pick this up and keep tightening it. I don't really like these wire ropes. I get it. I like how it prevents from an actual full, like, you know, non-flexible steel, like a regular rod, not to like break in half or bend or whatever. That's the issue. It keeps coming undone, loosening up, starts dragging. This was the faulty side. What I ended up doing is I ended up cutting into my fender liner. This one still does have the full fender liner. Have these ratchet ass zip ties for a quick removal. These came off completely. So I thought I got 12mm ones. I thought that's what it said on the box, or I guess that's the length. I don't know. But it's actually a 10mm, which is honestly better in my favor. It's literally impossible to tighten those down. See, no more flex. Yeah. Literally happened last night on the way back from Homestead. Well, actually on the way to Homestead. It was at night, and you know, there's traffic and stuff, and people don't give a shit about their cars. They just run over shit, and I didn't have time to move out the way. I still don't know what I hit. All I heard was a bunch of bullshit tearing my splitter. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna hurry up. We are losing daylight out here, and I want to make sure I can get this full modless video for you guys. All right, so I lied. I think the best move right now is just to film the modless video here at the house, just because yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it over there. I mean, it's just 15-20 minutes, but it's a Broward 15 to 20 minutes, which is usually longer than that. So motherfuckers, just gonna go ahead and record it right here, pop the hood for you guys. All right, so as you guys know, my Z is turboed. It is single turboed by SOHO Motorsports. It is specifically the stage 2 single turbo, but it is the 2021 stage 2, so they have a newer variation of this setup, which is a different turbo. I believe they still use Garrett turbos, but this one, if I remember right, is a GTX 3886. But yeah, right now, stock motor, of course. On my 600 wheel map, I am pushing 14 to 15 PSI for that map. And then I have wastegate, which is 7-8 pounds, 430 wheel. And then I have my mid boost map, 12 to 13 pounds, which is around 540, 550. I would say. So that's usually the one I'm driving on for the most part. So in videos and things like that, that's the main map that you see me driving on. I bought the car in January of 2021, bought the turbo kit in March 2021, and received it in December of 2021. So almost a full year to get the kit, but we didn't go ahead and install it because we were waiting for more parts. After we got all the parts for the turbo kit and all the supporting mods that we needed for the build, we ended up with Leonardo Performance. They did all the work. Got the kit installed in February of 2022. So literally not even a year after owning the car, I went ahead and got it boosted. I knew what I wanted for years. I've been following, you guys might know him, Fresh Kicks, and he's had his 350Z turboed. And since a kid watching Tokyo Drift, I always liked the Z's. 370Z came out, loved the headlights, loved the look of the 370Z a bit more. Downside is that it is a heavier car with a smaller wheelbase, but for the track it helps me. Not so much the weight, and I believe the track of the car is a bit wider than the 350Z, so that is a plus. But yeah, ever since then, I kind of knew what I wanted. At the time, I had a Subaru WRX, a 2015, and yeah, I had that for about like a year and a half, and then I got this. Back to the build. So when it comes to fueling, I do have ID1300X Injectors, specifically the X because I am running E85. I'm flex fuel though, so for the most part, I do run pure E85, and once in a while I'll put 93 in there. I have not put in 93 because I do have something wrong with the tune. I'll talk about that later. I have the CJM S1 SE fuel rail system. Do have it as a return setup. It's not returnless. And now originally I did only have a one single Walbro 450 pump, but now I'm running a Radium surge tank with 2 Walbro 450 pumps. So I'm running a dual pump setup now, just for, again, security and reliability. You could run this setup on a stock motor 600 wheel with a single pump, but it does put a lot of pressure on one pump. And 2, you're better off with a dual pump. I do have it set up where it automatically turns on and off. I don't need a switch or anything to go ahead and turn on every time I'm going to get on the car. It just does it through Eccentric. I do have the car tuned on Eccentric by SOHO Motorsports themselves. Nick from SOHO, one of the owners of the company, did tune the car. He's one of the tuners there. And yeah, the car has been running amazingly with him tuning. I do recommend, whether you get a kit from them or not, I do recommend getting tuned by Nick from SOHO. Not only is he very organized in setting up the scheduling to getting tuned, but he does amazing work with the tune themselves. Since we're talking about the tune, I am tuned boost by gear. So once I'm in the 530 and 600 wheel maps, it is boost by gear. And chilling in the golf cart, that's a fucking suburb shit. So way that works is, for my setup, second gear on those last 2 maps, second gear is wastegate, and then third gear is that specific PSI for that power. So that way I don't have traction issues in second. Either way, my torque levels in wastegate are pretty good. This car pulls when I'm on wastegate. I'll show you guys. I don't know if I've ever recorded a video for YouTube being on wastegate, but the pulls are not that bad at all for wastegate. And then third gear, I never had trouble with spinning in third. This car puts the power down pretty well, and I'll get to my suspension and diff mods eventually. Now for the actual supporting mods, I am running GTR Spark Plugs, MZP, oil catch can, and Coolant Reservoir combo. I do have a CSF radiator, and then I do have a 34-row oil cooler that we have set up between the intercooler and the radiator. I also do have, for my oil cooler, I do have it non-thermostatic. I live in Florida, and for the most part, it looks like this all year round, and it's pretty hot. Right now, it's like about 85 degrees. Today's on the cooler side, so I think it's around 85 degrees, but it's 85 degrees at 8 o'clock. So you could imagine how hot it is in the daytime. Even at night, the non-thermostatic plate works very well. On the street, I have not gone over 230, 240 oil temps. So before, I would get there a lot quicker. Now with that plate and all the cooling that we've done on the car, it takes a lot to even get to 220. So other than that, I think for supporting mods for the engine, that's pretty much it. I mean, HKS super sequentials for the blow-off valves, Specialty Z flex fuel kit, and my Tomei single exit. For the most part, that's about it for supporting mods. I mean, all the exhaust piping is, for the most part, from SOHO, and then you just get the axle back exhaust of your choice. So yeah, for the engine, that's basically it. Been basically on boost for 2 years. I have around 35k miles on the stock motor. This car I did get very lucky on. I got it again in 2021, but it's a 2017 370Z Nismo V2. Got it with 3,400 miles. Very good miles for a 2017. Like, I barely drove it. Like, I don't know how you drive the car for 4 years, 3,700 miles, 3,400 miles. Checked out the VIN, clean title and everything, so couldn't really pass on this offer. I wasn't really looking for a black 370Z as well, but I was looking for the pearl white. But honestly, it was really meant to be to go with the black. I love the black and everything blacked out or carbon fiber. All right, now to the fun part, suspension. Pretty straightforward, and it was a street build again. Just recently started turning it over to a track car. Pretty straightforward for the suspension. BC BR Coilovers. For my spring rate, since I'm on the stock spring rate, I don't mind disclosing it. 12K fronts and 10K rears for the spring rate. As for any other suspension parts, I do have SBL parts all around the car. I have front upper control arms. I do have the tie rods, the Bumpsteer kit. The rear, I do have the rear camber arms. I do have the Eccentric lockout kit for the rear too as well. Helps out the toe. And for the front, I do have a sway bar. So I think I told you guys about the sway bar that just came in for the car. Haven't been able to install it yet because they sent me the rear run. I ordered a front sway bar and they sent me a rear sway bar. I waited basically a whole year for that sway bar. So not going to say who it's from. I mean, you guys see eventually the brand, but it is what it is. They're sending me a new one, the correct one. They have 2 in stock, so they're sending one over to me. Still on the stock front sway bar. I wish I had it for my track day, but I do have the SPL end links because the Nismos do come with a factory sway bar in the front, and I'm able to use my SPL end links for that sway bar on my stock sway bar. Bushings, I am going to upgrade all the bushings in a bit. I do just want to focus on first some other couple of aero mods before I get to the bushings. Do have the Z1 polyurethane motor mounts and diff bushings as well. So I do have a Z1 built diff. So it is the Z1 Street Pro diff with a 3.53 final drive. Helps a lot with the gearing on the street, but on the track it has not let me down. Thankfully, this turbo kit does have pretty good response, around 4,500 RPMs. So I can always short shift the half to mid corner, or coming off on exit from a turn, still am able to be in power without having to drop too low of a gear and too high of RPMs. So I slowly learned that towards the end of the track day. But yeah, Z1 Street Pro diff, SPL rear camera arms, and Z1 subframe bushings, as well as the diff bushing too. And basically what I did too, to make it easy, good 370Z fucking trunk issues, you gotta open this shit with 2 hands. I do have the rear gutted. I'll talk about all that stuff eventually, but I'm able to go ahead and adjust the rears from there. I love that part of the car. Before when we did have the interior, we did have cutouts, so we can go ahead and adjust the rear suspension, the dampening. But yeah, that's it for the most part for the suspension, and it's worked very well. But back to the mod list, suspension, basically all that. Let me talk about the wheels now. I did at the time a year ago order 19-inch Volk ZE40s. Always have been my dream wheel, and especially on this car, I bought them in diamond black and it would have looked amazing on this car. Unfortunately, I did end up getting a refund on them. Not on any bad experiences from the company that I bought the wheels from, but just I changed my mind on what I wanted the vision to be for this car. And yeah, I can't run 19-inch wheels anymore, clearly, as you can see. There's not much clearance left because of the suspension. If I were to run 19-inch wheels on this setup, obviously the gap would be filled in a bit more, which is not an issue, but I would be rubbing and probably break the fuck out of my fenders. So I don't think I rubbed, but it was very, very close to rubbing on the front, especially with all that roll. So, and on the rears, I sometimes do rub. You can kind of, I'm not sure if you can see, but yeah, that's from all the load. And honestly, my setup on the rear is perfect. I rarely do have any oversteer, and yeah, even right now with the condition of these tires, I only spin second when the tires are cold. Once I heat up the tires, these tires are amazing, and they're 295s. You know, they're not even that crazy wide of a tire. Anyways, TE37 SLs in blast bronze. Wish I had more daylight, so this is exactly why I did it at the house. So yeah, TE37s in blast bronze. Originally, I did not want this color. I wanted either a very like dark gray. I think they call it titanium gray, titanium silver, which is the same type of finish as this. It's like texturized finish, but they didn't have it in my size. And the size I was specifically looking for was 18 by 11. So these are 18 by 11 squared TE37 SLs. Offset on these is a plus 15 5mm front spacers to go ahead and clear the coilovers. Yeah, just kind of to space out the wheel a little bit more so we can clear the side of the coil. And then on the rear, I have a 10mm spacer. Don't want to run more than 10mm just for reliability reasons. I don't want to put stress on the hub or the studs. I am running extended studs, so I didn't talk about that. They are, I believe, they are 10mm longer studs than OEM. That's why I'm running a max of a 10mm spacer in the rear, just because then basically that's the factory OEM length size of the stud. These wheels have been amazing. They are pretty light wheels. These are the SLs, so they weigh around 19 pounds each. And yeah, again, no traction issues in the rear. And for the front, I mean, this is a hefty setup for the front. We are able to clear these wheels in the front on the stock V2 fenders. I believe the fenders are all the same size, regardless if it's a Nismo, the year, they're all the same width fender. And yeah, even with the spacer, I'm clearing, no rubbing issues at all. And I'm running a 295/30/18 tire all around. Tires that I do have they're more track oriented. They are the Nankang AR1s. But yeah, for the wheel setup, that's basically it. let me actually talk about the brakes too as well. For the brakes, it's the stock caliper for the Nismo. The Nismo and the Sports have the same caliper sizes. There are 4 piston in the front and there are 2 piston in the rear. Only downside of our, if you have a Z, only downside of our calipers is the location. I don't like where they're mounted. They're mounted in the bumper side, I guess you can say the front side of the car, rather than the rear, like closer to the, you know, to the cabin. A lot of more track oriented cars usually have them set up here in the rear for cooling reasons. So because of that, we do, for the Z guys out there, we do have, you know, temp issues when it comes to our brakes because of that. Like how you see there, I do have a brake duct kit. So for the brakes, for the rotors, these are DBA 2-piece rotors. I'm not trying to bash Z1 rotors, but the rotors are thinner and lighter. I guess the lightness is a plus, but because they're thin, they do warp out a lot easier. As for the pads, I do have Hawk DTC 70 pads. Yeah, with this DBA rotor kit and the pads, they have been working very well for me. I think after the track day, because of how hot it was, I am going through my pads pretty quick. I can tell based on my pedal feel, but I've had the pads for about 4 months already. And on the street, I don't just drive this car calmly. I'll usually only drive this car on the highway. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if my pads are getting close to being worn down already. So I probably have 1 track day left with these pads, and then yeah, I really want to look for endless pads. I don't know if they make them for the Sport and the Nismo calipers, if they even make them for our setups, but if they do, I really want to try endless brake pads. Endless brake pads are one of the top-notch pads out there in the market. If not, I'll probably just keep running my DTC 70s until I find something, you know, that works, or until I change my brake setup, which I do want to eventually. But the brake kit that I do want is the AP Racing 6-pot and 4-pot in the rear, so bigger size calipers, and the price is crazy on them. They're about 8 to 10K for the front and rears, so one day. But yeah, for this setup, it's pretty good. I mean, the cooling's pretty well for the street. For the track, you can't really endurance race on these brakes. They will not last you. So for the wheels, that's basically it. I guess my lug nuts, you can count those 2. I have Chasing J titanium lug nuts. And for the people wondering, I have had no issues with the torque specs on my lug nuts. They don't come loose, no cracking at all. I don't know what bad experiences people have had. I've heard people having issues with titanium lug nuts, but no issues at all whatsoever. Pretty good lug nuts, and pretty high quality lug nuts too as well. So shout out to Chasing J's for these. I think that's about it basically. I mean, I guess exterior mods, Sibon, however you want to pronounce it. Carbon hood, I do have it PPF'd, and I don't remember the exact name for this hood, but it is the one with a big single vent in the middle. I mean, our hoods from factory don't weigh much, so this doesn't really save too much weight, but it is just a nice look, and the vented feature is a huge plus for our cars. Helps a lot with heat management. I believe this roof cap is from Fly One roof cap, carbon fiber roof cap. It is real carbon fiber, but like how you saw, it's a cap. Goes on top of the OEM roof. And then I do have the Nismo Tech, so I have the antenna there, and that's also carbon fiber. Mirrors, this is a cap as well, because unfortunately they don't sell a physical 370Z mirror in carbon fiber. Oh, and I guess one of the exterior mods that I have for anyone, not just 370 people, just anyone that's having issues with their front bumpers, quick release kit. This is a huge plus, and it has saved my front bumper so many times from just completely either falling off, but just for security. If you are very performance oriented, these quick releases are amazing. Don't really know what else much to say about the car. I mean, I guess the quick release hood pins too as well. These are a must if you are going to go ahead, and not just for boosted cars, just cars in general that get up to high speeds with a carbon hood, definitely a must. As for the interior, I do have a Brid X Cusco seat. Absolutely love this seat. Scroth Racing, 4-point harness. I do have the ability to make it a 6-point harness too whenever I would want, but I guess I would turn that into a 6-point once I have a full cage in the car. Next level performance harness bar, which is also functional, so it is acting like a roll bar as well. And then I do also have my, which you've seen in all my videos, my Momo flat bottom steering wheel. And these are just the horns, work spell hub and work spell quick release for the steering wheel setup. This is my Nismo titanium shift knob. I did get that one from the Omori factory in Yokohama, Japan. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I do have the car semi-gutted. I'm gonna do the front eventually as well, but I just kind of wanted to take care of some things before I get to that. Yeah, I'm not too sure what else to talk about with the car. Plus, we completely lost daylight. It's about 8 o'clock out here. For anyone that has a Z now and plans on going boosted, absolutely recommend it. Obviously, you can get into a different car with a bit more power with a turbo already from factory, hence the M340, B58, S55s from the M4s, M3s, or even the G chassis. I mean, the G chassis is a whole different level of price and everything. But so when I bought this car, I bought it for around 39K before the taxes and fees and shit. Yeah, for that price, you could get an M340. Again, I basically bought this car new, 3,400 miles, and you can't really compare this to you know, M340 or a Supra. They do make the Mark V Supras in manual now. If you were to drive a decently modded Supra versus my car, night and day difference. You would tell that, all right, this car is like literally like you feel everything more. My personal opinion, the steering on this car is amazing. The feedback from the hydraulic system, that's why I've been told to go with an electronic steering setup. Does weigh a little bit more, but for the track apparently it helps with heat and stuff. But yeah, still very bummed out about my splitter. You know, this happened last night on the way back. But yeah, my plans for the car is going to be a track car. I did hit up Sebring, and after that, I'm obsessed and I'm addicted. I mean, I need to get off the street. I need to get off the street with how I drive this car. And also just for myself, I really do want to test my skill and my limits on how well I can drive. Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be even bigger of a money pit. But so yeah, it's came a long way in such a short time, but really grateful for how the car has been treating me and how it's came along. So that's about it for the modless video. So something I didn't talk about yet, because I wanted to go over that stuff first, is this video is gonna be after I tracked the car at Sebring. Car did amazing. I'll be posting that video after this one. Yeah, I absolutely love this car. Love how it sounds. And for the street, it's a lot. And then this car will get you pulled over very quickly. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. Hopefully this helps you guys kind of figure out more whether you do want to boost a car, whether you don't, because of how much, you know, I did. But this is a different build. You don't have to do all those things that I did. You can do a lot less and get away with it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.